Jamie Weinstein is on the line with me. He's the senior editor of the Daily Caller, dailycaller.com. You can tweet him at Jamie, Jamie _ Weinstein, Weinstein, or at Daily Caller. Jamie, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So last night, Donald Trump basically became the Republican nominee. Ted Cruz backed out, and in fact, the reports are, all the networks are reporting that at 5 o'clock this afternoon, Ohio time, I think that's Central Time, it could be Eastern, John Kasich is going to do the exact same thing. You're the Republican. What's your take on this?
Well, I'm not really a party person exactly. I'm a conservative. I'm a person of ideas. Mm-hmm. Republicans tend to, embody those ideas better than any other party out there. So, it's obvious that this race is over after last night. There was a chance if Ted Cruz won Indiana, not an insignificant chance, that he could push the Republican race to a contested convention where he would win on the second or third ballot. Donald Trump would not do very well on the second or third ballot.
Yeah, that
did not happen. Last night, Donald Trump won the state, won at large. I think he won all the delegates in the state, and it was pretty clear to Ted Cruz, apparently, and now John Kasich, that there was just no path forward for them.
So we have Ben Howe, the editor of Red State. He says, 33 years as a Republican ends now. Goodbye, GOP. I didn't leave you. You left me. Lindsey Graham, you already know, he says, if we nominate Trump, we'll get destroyed and deserve it. The National Review's Charles Cook, Madam President, he says. Steve Schmidt tweets, Republicans need to ask whether they love their country more than their party. Matt Walsh, conservative blogger, goodbye Republican Party. Mark Salter, GOP strategist. I'm with her. Managing editor of the Conservative Examiner, Philip Klein. I have officially deregistered as a Republican. What are you going to do?
Well, I wrote last night, Tom, as I'm sure you saw, is that, I see the race as something akin now, if it comes down to just two candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump without a third-party candidate, a significant one, of a choice between malaria and Ebola. Given those options, I'll choose malaria. I see Hillary Clinton as malaria and Donald Trump as Ebola.
Oh, that's very interesting. I notice also over at Red State, their managing editor, Leon Wolf, is saying, hey, it's time to get behind Merrick Garland. We know he's a business-friendly, relatively conservative guy. I'm not quoting, Leon Wolf.
Yeah.
He was a corporate lawyer for years. I can't tell the difference between him and John Roberts, frankly. He was a corporate lawyer for years and years. He defended big corporate interests. When he became a federal judge, there have only been 7 times, I believe, when he's actually ruled in favor of a criminal defendant. Usually has been ruling in favor of corporations. It's, in fact, he was recommended to the president by Orrin Hatch, as you well know. So do you think that the Republicans are now going to say, okay, we'd rather have this guy who we know and, in fact, who was recommended by a Republican rather than whoever Hillary Clinton's going to come up with?
I think the argument is entirely different than yours. I tweeted last night, it's time to reconsider the no hearings, no votes. I supported no hearings, no votes, but not because I think that, Judge Garland is some secret Roberts or Scalia even.
No, I'm not saying he's that far to the right. I'm saying he's probably maybe to the left of Kennedy. He's in the middle.
Yeah, I would say that you can do worse. You can find a more liberal justice that could be appointed, and that he is relatively old to be nominated to the Supreme Court. Yeah. If Hillary Clinton got her way, she might nominate a younger justice who would be on the court for much longer and with much more liberal inclination. So,
yeah, and thus much more impact.
Given the nominee is Donald Trump, it might be worth reconsidering the no hearings, no votes strategy. Yeah.
GBA Strategies did a poll for the Progressive Change Institute of 1,500 likely voters in 2016. The margin of error on this is around 2.5%. And it's a pretty solid poll. Nobody's disputing it. And they asked, do you support or oppose neutral or no response? The neutral or no responses in most cases were fairly inconsequential. A whole bunch of different policies. And you said, you're a conservative and it's all about policy for you. And usually the Republicans are along with those policies. The number one most popular policy, according to this poll, 79% of Americans, Democrats, Republicans, this was a transpartisan poll. They simply polled registered voters who had voted in previous elections and were likely to vote in this election. But it's relatively equally balanced. Allow the government to negotiate drug prices, 79%. The Republican Party opposes that. Do you think that, where do you stand on that issue?
That's not an issue I'm voting on. I probably don't. I'm not for necessarily the government negotiating drug prices. My issues for voting against Donald Trump are probably different than the issues that you would think. It's not some of the more controversial issues he's espoused. I think it's a temperamental issue is number one. I think he's authoritarian. I think there's a non-zero chance he tries to become an honest-to-God dictator. I don't think he'll be successful, but that risk is too high. I think that economic issues, I think Hillary's terrible, but the worst proposal in the election so far economically is Trump's 45% tariff. I think Hillary's terrible in foreign policy, but she has not proposed, like Donald Trump, to kind of retreat from the world, to remove the national security infrastructure America has built up since
and help other countries get nuclear weapons.
I mean, he's so incoherent. He has not even taken the time to even think about the issues. You ask him a question, he comes up with that on the spot. Now, I think Hillary's malaria. That's not a compliment. Yeah. I just think Donald Trump is
so Jamie, I get it, and I don't disagree with you on many of those points. What if Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan, he took long naps every day. He didn't work a great deal. And during the last basically 3 years of his administration, George Bush was really running the show. And, now
I don't think that any of that is borne out in his diaries. I think that a lot of that is baloney. He was competent all the way through his administration.
Okay, fine. Let's stipulate that. We just have a minute left. I was leading to a bigger question, which is if Trump put somebody like John Kasich in as his VP, who is broadly liked among the Republican Party and polls really well against Hillary Clinton, will you go back?
No. Look, I'm not an activist, by the way. I try to give honest commentary, so I'm not going out and campaigning for anybody. Mm-hmm. But no, I would not change my vote. I actually hope that he picks someone. Generally, I do not like the people that have gone around and rallied around Donald Trump. I find it, disrespect. I don't respect them in any way. I do hope, though, that if he does offer someone decent the vice presidential nomination, they'd consider it. Maybe there's a chance they can influence them in a way that most other people who are supporting them can't. I still doubt that, though, because he's a man who doesn't really rely on advice other than his own intuition and instinct. So I don't think that if John Kasich was the vice presidential nominee, he would make much of a difference in changing the way Donald Trump saw the world.
Yeah, well, no, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. We don't know how malleable he is, but I guess we will find out. Jamie, it's fascinating talking with you. I've always been very impressed and pleased is the wrong word. It sounds gratuitous with your intellect and your perspective and your forthright, your honesty on your positions. I think you really have. You could be this generation's William F. Buckley, and I suspect someday will be. And I'm pleased you dropped by, Jamie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie Weinstein, he is the senior editor of the Daily Caller. DailyCaller.com is the website. You can tweet him at Jamie_Weinstein.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.